Okay, today we are doing lesson 1.13. Now, if you've looked through your workbook, you'll see we only go to 1.16. So that means we're almost at the end of Module 1, which also means we're almost at the end, or almost at the time where we get to show off all that we've learned in Module 1. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. What's another word for that? Test, yeah. Our Module 1 test will not be this week. It'll be next Tuesday. Okay, so for those of you who like to start planning ahead, you're going to be able to show me everything you've learned in Module 1 from 1.1 all the way to 1.16 next Tuesday. Okay? All right. Today your learning goal is to be able to divide decimals by single-digit whole numbers using what you already know about place value. All of Module 1, if there was a common theme of Module 1, it would be place value, wouldn't it? Everything we've been doing, whether it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, comparing, or rounding decimals, all has been using what you know about place value. And so today we're going to extend that knowledge. We're going to use what we know about place value to figure out how to divide decimals by single-digit whole numbers. Since we're starting today talking about dividing decimals by single-digit whole numbers, we first need to understand what is division. Remember when we first started talking about multiplication and we said multiplication is like making copies of something or repeatedly adding something over and over again? Is division also making copies? No. Is division also repeated addition? No. Before we can even talk about how to divide, we need to understand what division is. So go ahead and talk at your table groups or the people sitting around you and have an explanation. So some of you said that division is like the opposite of multiplication. Give me a Me Too symbol if you guys discuss that too. Some of you said that division could be like repeatedly subtracting the same number over and over again. Some of you said, oh, I've seen division problems, word problems where you have to share it. It says like, Eva has this many number of candies and she wants to share them equally by her friends. How many does each friend get? So sharing could be like division. Some of you guys also said it's like putting numbers in a group. If you have 100, you want to see how many groups of 12 you could make in 100. Yes? So there's two main ways we divide, or two main reasons we divide. We could divide when we want to share something, when we want to figure out how much each person could get, if they get an equal share. Or it could be grouping, if we want to figure out how many equal groups we could make from a number. Go ahead and write this down. We can also jot down that many of you guys said that division is kind of like the opposite of what? Multiplication. Good. Okay, so if we have this problem, 9/10 divided by 3, that could mean that we want to split 9/10 into 3 groups, yes? Okay, we're going to draw a place value chart. Now, this place value chart, we only need to have 2 parts because we really only have tenths, right? So if I draw my decimal point there, what's always to the left of the decimal point, Emily? What place value? The left? Yeah. Good. So we label that our ones. And what's always to the right of the decimal point? Jaden? Tenths. Good. Okay. Now, we're trying to split 9/10 into how many different groups? 3 groups, right? Because over here, that's what the division problem tells us. We have 9/10, and we're splitting it into 3 groups. Okay. So let's go ahead and first model on our place value chart 9/10. Arvind, you already did this. What do I have to draw to show 9/10?
You write down 9 dots.
9 dots. Okay, in the which column?
In the column.
Good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do you guys agree that that shows 9/10?
Yeah.
Very good. Now we're trying to split it into 3 groups. So under that, what I want you to do is draw a line. And we're going to kind of make 3 sections. So right now I only have 1 section. If I draw another line, do you see how now I have 2 sections? And if I draw another line, do you see now I have 3 sections? Good. I'm going to share those equally into those 3 sections. So, for example, watch me first, okay? I'm going to cross out 1 dot, 1/10, and put it in this section. Then I'm going to cross out another 10th and put it into this section. Then I'm going to put another dot into this section. Do you see how I've crossed out 3/10 at the top and moved 1/10 into each section? Do you guys see that? Make sure you cross them out as you go. Then I'm going to cross another one out and put it into the first section again. If I put 1 dot in the first section, that means I also need to put 1 dot in each of the other sections because I need to keep them equal. Do you see that? Okay, so when I'm done, I can see that in one section, one group has how many tenths? 3. So the answer, if I divide 9 tenths equally into 3 different groups, each group has how many tenths? Wait, it has 0.3 tenths?
No.
It has how many tenths? 3 tenths, which I can write as 0.3. So therefore, if I want to answer, fill in the blank on this question, it says 3 groups of how many tenths is 9 tenths? How many groups of tenths do I have in each group? 3. Do you guys see how I have 1 group of 3 tenths, 2 groups of 3 tenths, and 3 groups of 3 tenths? So altogether, that's 9 tenths. So 3 groups of 3 tenths is 9 tenths. In this example of 24 hundredths divided by 4, why is it a better idea to draw 24 dots in the hundredths column rather than what we drew here, which is 2 dots in the tenths column and 4 dots in the hundredths column? Go. If we have 2 dots in the tenths column, can I share them equally into 4 groups? No. But if I have 24 dots in the hundredths column, can I evenly share them into 4 groups?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do on your own is draw 24 dots in the hundredths, show how you're going to share them into 4 groups, and then fill in this sentence at the bottom. 4 groups of blank tenths is 0.24. Go. So we can say that 4 groups of 6 tenths is 0.24. Therefore, the answer, 0.24 divided by 4 is 6 tenths, or in standard form, 0.6. It says 4 groups of 6 whats? Tenths. Oh, what should it be? 4 groups of 6? Hundredths. Very good. And I can see that because when I shared them, I'm sharing them in the what column? Hundredths. So then my answer, should it be 0.6? It should be 0.06. Very good. It's important to pay attention to details like that. Good job finding that fabulous fail. Now for this next example, I have 32 thousandths. Do I want to put 3 in the hundredths column and 2 in the thousandths column? Would that be a good way to represent 32 thousandths? Why not, Andrew? Yeah, can I share 3 hundredths by 8 into 8 groups? No. But could I share 32 thousandths into 8 groups? Now, how many of you are thinking, oh man, now I have to draw 32 dots, and that's going to take so long, right? Let me show you another way you could do it. Okay, so if this is my decimal point, these are my tenths, right? These are my hundredths, do you agree? And these are my thousandths, right? I'm going to just write the number 32 here. Does that show that I have 32 thousandths? Okay, now I still have to draw 8 groups. So there's 1 group, 2 groups, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, do I have 8 groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, I have 8 groups. Okay, very good. Now, if I were to divide 32 into 8, how many would I have in each group, using what you know about math facts? 4, right? Yes. So could I put 4 in each of these groups? Because 4 times 8 is 32. So do you see how I could just write it like that rather than drawing dots? Okay. Therefore, if I have 8 groups altogether, how much is in one group? How much is in one group? 4 whats? 4 thousandths. So 32 thousandths divided by 8 is what? 4 thousandths. Very good. And I can write that using standard form 0.004. 4 thousandths. Now let's figure out what we would write in this sentence. Blank groups of blank is blank. So following this pattern over here, how many groups do we have altogether? Guys, how many groups do we have altogether?
8.
Okay, so I can write 8 groups of, what's in each group? How much is in each group? 4 whats? Okay. So in our sentence we can write 8 groups of 4 thousandths is what? Altogether, how many thousandths do I have? 32 whats? Good. Okay, so our sentence that you want to write at the end of this is 8 groups of 4 thousandths is 32 thousandths. Go ahead and write this in your notebook. 1.5 divided by 5. This is 1 5/10 divided by 5. What are the different ways we could think about 1.5? Could that be 1 5/10? Yeah. Would that help us divide it by 5 to think about it as 1, 1, and 5 tenths? No, why not, Mackenzie? Could I also think of 1.5 as 15 tenths?
Yes.
And which one's easier to divide by 5? 15 tenths, right? So I can think of this problem as 15 tenths divided by 5. And you'll need to be able to recognize which one is easier. Okay, now think to yourself, if I'm going to have 15 dots in the tenths column, I'm going to split them into 5 groups, how many tenths will be in each group? Everyone? 3 tenths. Do you guys agree that 15 tenths divided by 5 is 3 tenths? How do I write 3 tenths in standard form? 0.3. Do I want to write the word tenths after that? No. Okay. How do I write this as a sentence? How many groups do I have altogether? How many groups did I split it into? 5. So how many groups do I have altogether? 5 groups, right? And then how much was in each group? 5 groups of 3 tenths is altogether how many tenths? 15 tenths. And that's the sentence you would write at the end of this. Okay, we're using our math fact glasses here, okay? If I know I need to divide 1.05 divided by 5, I know that I'm looking for numbers that are easily divisible by what number? 5. Ooh, so I can see, is 1 by itself divisible by 5? No. But if I group these two together, what number do I have? 10. Is that divisible by 5?
Yes.
Super easy in my head, right? And then I'm left with a 5. Is that also divisible by 5? So I know that I want to split the number right here into a 10 and to a 5. So if I'm going to call it 10 somethings, it's going to be 10 whats?
Tenths.
And I can tell that because the 0 is in the tenths place. And then if I want to call it 5 something, the 5 is in the what's place? Hundredths place. So I can think of 1.05 as 10 tenths plus 5 hundredths. Yes? Do you agree? And now I can rethink of my problem as 10 tenths divided by 5, and then as a separate part, 5 hundredths divided by 5. Do you see how that's super easy to do? If I have 10 tenths, that means I have 10 dots in the tenths column. I'm going to split them into 5 equal groups. So how many would be in each group? What's 10 tenths divided by 5, everyone?
2.
Yeah, because 10 divided by 5 is 2, and my place value is the tenths. So I have 2 tenths over here. And then if I have 5 hundredths, and I'm splitting them into 5 equal groups, how many hundredths are in each group, everyone?
100.
100?
100.
There's 1 in each hundredth group. Good. So my answer would be 2 tenths and 1 hundredth. How do I write that in standard form? I have 0 in the ones place. How many tenths do I have? 2. And how many hundredths do I have?
1.
So therefore, 1.05 split into 5 groups is 0.21 or 21 hundredths. Does that make sense? Very good. Let's write that into a sentence though. Okay, go ahead and write it into your sentence the way we've been learning how to do it. How many groups do we have altogether? 5 groups of, how much is in each group? 21 hundredths equals 1 and 5 hundredths. Does that make sense? When we write the sentence, do you see how we're getting the number of groups